Hello and welcome to another Talking Music, where every song has a story. My name's Paul, and on this channel we like to pick a well-known song and get behind the story of that song with secrets and information and facts and stories. And the song in question today is Stealers Wheel and Stuck in the Middle with You. This was a song written in October 1972 by the Scottish musicians Gerry Rafferty and Joe Egan, and originally performed by their band Stealers Wheel. During these intervening years, then and now, the song has become a bit of a classic for various reasons. The respect with which songwriter Gerry Rafferty is held within the music industry, the fact the song was produced by superstar producers Jerry Lieber and Mike Stoller, and the song being used in the huge 1992 international blockbuster Reservoir Dogs during the film's most gruesome and iconic scene. And if you've seen that movie, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about there. Gerry Rafferty and Joe Egan first met in Paisley, just outside Glasgow in Scotland, as teenagers, and they became friends. Gerry went on to form a duo called the Humble Bums with Billy Connolly, and it was Gerry who eventually encouraged Billy to become a comedian. After this, he got back to songwriting with Joe Egan, and they formed Stealers Wheel, along with Rab Noakes, Roger Brown and Ian Campbell. They were signed to A&M Records, and Stuck in the Middle with You was the first single to be released by the band from their debut album, which they called Stealers Wheel. And it was produced by Lieber and Stoller. These guys had a stellar reputation in the music business, having written some 20-odd songs for Elvis Presley, and also classics like Stand By Me, Benny King, and other hits for the Drifters, songs for Peggy Lee, and also the Coasters. They were known as the masters behind the masters, and they'd overseen the rise of the 60s all-girl group, the Shangri-Las, and produced many other songs. They felt that they could bring something extra to the sound of Stealers Wheel, but Gerry had other ideas.
I think he viewed us as the enemy. There was something very distasteful to him about us, what we represented to him. Crassly commercial. But in the end, the result was a wonderful result.
So here we were getting an insight into Gerry Rafferty. He was someone serious about the music, his music, and musical integrity. Joe Egan too. And they both dug their heels in about what they wanted. And this was before, really, they'd achieved any success. Still, Jerry Lieber and Mike Stoller felt that they did bring something to the mix, and Joe Egan and Rab Noakes have nothing but good memories of working with the masters behind the masters.
We were a bit in awe of their reputations, of course, you know, and we're just young and just starting out and all that kind of stuff, but they really made us feel, you know, like at ease, you know, just almost immediately. They were great to work with, I thought, anyway.
Of course, they're rock and roll royalty from the time of the 1950s, and they gave it a cachet.
Mike Stoller always said that Gerry battled against commercialism.
As soon as it started to be successful and it became a hit, he lost interest in it and was suspicious of it and no longer really liked it because it was commercial.
Stuck in the Middle with You was written by Gerry and Joe after a night out in London at a restaurant with record company executives and potential producers. Gerry and Joe got the distinct impression that business was being conducted all around them that night, and they were not being included. A hard pill for them to swallow, as the business being conducted was their music, their talent, and their songs. Hence the line, "Clowns to the left of me, jokers to the right, here I am, stuck in the middle with you." After the album Stealers Wheel was finished in late 1972, Gerry just left the band, giving no reason officially at the time.
There was so much politics taking place between the whole band and everybody who was involved with the band, and managers and so on and so forth. The live performances we did, most of them were not very good. Everything seemed to be incredibly rushed. We never had time to rehearse properly because we were being sort of taken from a rehearsal studio to go and do interviews, and we're taken from that situation to go and do something else. That was my first taste of just the nature of the music industry as a beast.
Gerry didn't trust many inside the music industry. They more than wanted their pound of flesh, and while he wanted to write and record songs, his record label wanted him out promoting. Gerry had quite naturally got into the industry to make music, and it seemed to him that making music was way down on the record label's agenda, so he quit, simple as that. This put Joe Egan in a difficult place because there were commitments for the band, touring with Colin Blunstone and David Bowie, which they did fulfil. Joe and Gerry never had a conversation as to why Gerry left the band. It didn't sour their friendship though, as Joe was philosophical, saying that it was obviously something that he had to do. Stuck in the Middle with You was released as a single in the spring of 1973, and it had for the day a very sophisticated video. Joe Egan had to step up and mime Gerry's lead vocals, and the video portrayed that night in the restaurant some months before, but in caricatured form. It included an actual clown, a man in a bowler hat devouring spaghetti, and a woman eating cream cakes and grapes. The clown is trying to eat a plastic chicken. All state-of-the-art stuff for 1973. But the song became a considerable hit. Let's check out the charts. First, the UK singles chart. And as you can see there, 16th of June 1973, that's where it reached its peak. Number 8 on the UK charts. It was to stay at number 8 for a couple of weeks. So okay, it did reasonably well. It didn't exactly set the charts on fire, but as I say, reasonably well. Did better in the US though. 12th of May 1973 it reached its peak. It went to number 6 on the American Billboard Hot 100. Took 11 weeks to get there. It was the first and the last US hit for Stealers Wheel, but it turned gold. It sold 1 million in the States. In fact, it spent 9 weeks in the US top 20 and ended up being the 30th best seller in the US for 1973. Elsewhere, it went top 10 in the Netherlands, Canada, South Africa, and number 16 in Australia and New Zealand. During the success of Stuck in the Middle with You, Gerry was persuaded to rejoin the band, and he did so for a few months until old feelings started to emerge again. This time, he made his feelings better known. He only wanted to create songs. He didn't want to promote them, staying in hotels, in strange cities, doing interviews and being away from home. He didn't like the limelight. He didn't like performing on stage. He got no joy from it. And by being in a band, these feelings were compounded because he'd be letting others down. So he decided to go solo, and that's when he did his best work and gained the credibility and the respect he desired. Decisions could be taken by him and him alone, if he so wished. Gerry Rafferty was approached in 1992 by Quentin Tarantino's studio, asking if they could use Stuck in the Middle for a film they were making. Gerry replied by asking in what context would the song be used, and Quentin Tarantino sent a full script of the film Reservoir Dogs to Gerry, and he recounts the story of how he was sitting up in bed late one night, reading the film script, and then came to the scene where Mr. Blonde is alone in that ear-slicing scene with the policeman tied to the chair, when he tunes into his favourite radio show, K. Billy's Super Sounds of the 70s, and K. Billy plays Mr. Blonde's favourite song, Stealers Wheel, Stuck in the Middle with You.
Joe Egan and Gerry Rafferty were a duo known as Stealers Wheel when they recorded this Dylan-esque pop bubble gum favorite from April of 1974. That reached up to number 5 as K. Billy's Super Sounds of the 70s continued.
Interesting thing there to note, K. Billy said the song was a hit in 1974. Wrong. He was a year out. You'd have thought the studio would have picked up on that. Gerry said he nearly fell out of bed because he couldn't imagine how the song and this scene in the film could possibly match up. But now it's difficult not to think of this film whenever you hear the song. and the film acted as an agent for Gerry's music to a whole new generation of listeners. If Gerry were alive today to respond to the question, name 3 of your songs that you could consider milestones in your career, I wonder, do you think it's a good bet he'd name this as one of the 3? It's opened doors for him, and though he's never courted commerciality per se, without a song like this, how long would a record label bankroll an artist without any form of return? But wait, they did, on the promise of more hits like this, and the late 70s brought Gerry's most prolific songwriting period and his record label's most lucrative, so a metaphoric nod of the head by way of thanks to this song. Stuck in the Middle with You, Stealers Wheel. And that's it for this Talking Music, where every song has a story. I do hope that you've enjoyed the video, and we've got lots more videos like this for you to enjoy. All you need to do is subscribe to the channel. Just click on the subscribe button below. It's absolutely free, of course, and enjoy the videos we have for you. And until the next video, and I hope it's soon, I do wish you well. So till then, bye-bye.